Okay. Over the summer, the White House communication director talked to a reporter and called one of his colleagues an effing paranoid schizophrenic. More recently, the U.S. Secretary of State allegedly called the president an effing moron. I could just hear my abuela, my grandmother, in my ear. Óyeme, no, eso no se dice. Listen to me, one doesn't say that. We've gotten to a point in the culture where civility has all but disappeared. But people will say, but it's more honest. Maybe. But name-calling and rudeness creates distrust. And then conversations descend into shouting matches. Friends unfriend each other on Facebook. Collaboration fails altogether. And the real work of community doesn't get done. So how do we solve this? Well, I thought about my abuela's voice in my ear and concluded that she and my tías were right. Los buenos modales, good manners, actually matter. In Latino culture, those manners are the grease that enables frictionless social interactions. They value the result of the interaction, not the touting of an opinion. I didn't always think manners mattered. As a kid, I didn't understand their value. I remember getting dressed up on Sundays for church, and then driving down to Juarez to my abuela's house for a big comida, a big dinner. We would arrive and greet all the tíos and tías and abuelo and abuela with, "Hola, ¿cómo está usted? How are you? Qué gusto de verlo. How nice to see you." And then we'd sit down to dinner. My grandfather at one head of the table, my grandmother at the other. Dinner would be served, first to my grandfather, then my grandmother, then all the rest of the adults, and us kids were served last. We'd watch my mom furtively to make sure which fork we should be using for our sopa de fideos, our pasta. Later, we'd be trying to cut our carne properly with our elbows tucked in and not flying about like chickens. I asked one of my tías, "What's the point of these buenos modales?" And she said, half jokingly, "You'll know how to behave if you're ever invited to tea with the Queen." Her point was that those manners enable anyone of any social standing to have an interaction with anyone else. Because society is made of all kinds of people. It's not about any one individual. It's not about you or me. It's about all of us. Good manners are a kind of civil engineering of respect and even deference towards others. Those dinners at my abuela's took a long time. Through them, I learned to listen and be patient. And that stood me really well later as a technical support agent dealing with irate customers on the phone. Our trainers called it active listening. In order to get an irate customer calm down enough to collaborate with you, to do diagnostics, to solve their problem, you have to listen, defer, let them tell their story, and then smile. Because they'll hear you smile on the phone. And then engage them. And start to ask with understanding. So I heard you say, that server didn't come up properly after the power outage. Have I got that right? Then you can give them the WIFM. A WIFM is a what's in it for me. You gently suggest that they let you walk through the diagnostic steps that it'll take to get their problem solved. Another thing I learned at dinner at my Abuela's was inclusion. My dad was an Anglo, didn't speak much Spanish. And it would have been easy for all my relatives to just speak Spanish at the dinner table. But my tios and tias and my grandmother or grandpa would always have one conversational thread at the table going in English, so my dad could participate and be included. That notion of inclusion I've used as a project manager to weld teams together for project success. People on project teams are chosen from around an organization for a particular expertise they may have to get the project done. As leaders, we need to include everyone on a project team and actively listen, respect, and acknowledge everyone's ideas, and not dismiss any idea out of hand. That creates ownership and belonging on the team. It also, hopefully, fosters creativity and enthusiasm for the work of the project. Now, does being polite, inclusive, deferential, respectful mean you're a submissive pushover? No. I think as women, sometimes we struggle with this because we get microaggressed, disrespected, even harassed. Me too, right? But those buenos modales are about self-respect too. That civil engineering framework is a platform you can stand on and be confident. You've been respectful and should be respected in turn. If anyone had ever called my abuela the B word or some other insult, she would have looked at them with the look. You know the look. The one that only abuelas can do. The one that says, you have offended me, yourself, your family, the whole planet, and todo el panteón de santos en el cielo. The whole pantheon of saints in the heavens. And she would have stood her ground and said, perdóname, pero a mí no se me habla así. Excuse me, I'm not to be talked to that way. And waited for an apology. And then walked away. So I challenge us to use our buenos modales, because across the room, across the table, on the phone, on the other side of that screen is another human, just like you. The next time you try to engage someone who has a different opinion from yourself, first try to connect on a basic level to create ease and trust. How are you? How has your day been? And then Try some of that active listening. Ask and listen attentively to their story about how they came to their opinion. Then you can offer yours. Because it's not about winning an argument. It's about having a conversation and learning. And then maybe, just maybe, we can bridge those gaps between opinions, learn from each other, make compromises, and do that work of community that needs to be done. There's a great quote from President Benito Juárez. Entre individuos como entre las naciones, el respeto al derecho ajeno es la paz. As between individuals, as between nations, respect for the rights of others is peace. So tonight, when you leave, remember your abuelas and tias. Open the door for another. And let respect make peace. Thank you.